Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Monday Night Young Earth Takedown! In this corner, it's the Fluffy Atheist!
I'm gonna proof and logic the hell out of this guy. I'm gonna take him down so hard, it's gonna crack the last brain cell he has left.
And in this corner, Kent the Gravel Pit Hovinds!
Tonight we'll be talking about more lies in the textbooks. One of the biggest lies, one of the biggest lies in world history. I cannot believe that everybody fell for this one. The geologic column.
Well, that was underwhelming. Welcome to the Monday Night Young Earth Takedown. Kent is back again. Kent is back. Don't tell your friends. And we have a bit of a fun topic for me. The geologic column. So before I watch this video, so Angel and I can start clipping, from what I understand, Kent thinks the entire column is from the flood of Noah. Using that logic, everything we observe should be well mixed up since it's pretty much a sloshy mess from the flood. But is that what we see? Of course not. And because of that, Kent's assertion that there isn't a geological column is already false. But let's see what Kent has to say about it. Demon?
Sup?
Do you think he'll have anything decent?
Do you mind? I'm in the middle of breakfast.
Sorry to disturb then. Well, get on to the video.
Tonight, lies in the textbooks. We have been lied to, folks. The atheist Bible is the geologic column.
Really, Kent? Then maybe you should Wait. Angel, pull up a clip of that list, please. What's this? Peppered moth, variations in horses like the channel mascot, the Eohippus. Horses with toes are best horses. Anyway, a bunch of stuff about fossils. I mean, this could be interesting. Anyway, so let's move on to the next thing he says.
One of the biggest lies used today to get people to believe in the evolution fairy tale is the silly idea that the layers of the earth are different ages.
Because they are. Prediction time. He's going to use the trope of the layers always having been on the earth, so they're all the same age anyway. Let's see if he's going to be that silly as we continue watching the video.
This dumb idea started in the late 1700s. The main proponent was a guy named Charles Lyell, a lawyer from Scotland who hated the Bible. He helped invent the non-existent geologic column. There is no geologic column.
Holy crap! Kent, do some research for more than a couple of seconds. I took a whole 5 seconds to find out that Charles Lyell was born in 1797, so he would have been 3 years old at the turn of the century. Not only that, but he was a Christian and was buried in Westminster Abbey. I found all that out just at the start of my research, looking at his Wikipedia. So what did Charles actually do? A lot. He did a lot. He did work looking at the geological processes in glaciers, proposing that icebergs were possibly odd types of stone and rock not normally found in an area can get moved to another area. Moreover, he is the main player in dividing the tertiary period into the Eocene, Miocene, Pliocene, and Recent, which later was renamed into the Holocene in 1867. The reason for the separation is due to the separation of specific fossils in those parts of the geological column. Kent, there is a geological column. It's your Bible that's fiction.
Atheist worldview is based on the non-existent geologic column. It is the Bible for the atheist.
Repeating the same silly things doesn't make them true. Before these, he mentioned the Tooth Fairy, Santa Claus, and the Easter Bunny. He should add in there that Jesus is a furry and the Easter Bunny is his fursuit. Or we could add in that God is a silly mythological being. I mean, the overwatching eye that's always there, making sure you don't do bad things or your Easter eggs will be raw and you'll get coal in your stocking.
Charles Lyell, lawyer from Scotland, hated the Bible. His goal, he said, was to free the science from Moses. He was tired of people thinking Moses' flood explained the layers of the earth.
So, two things. First, like we said before, Charles was a Christian. Freeing science from religion is a good thing, so you can look at the evidence without a bias, unlike Kent's absolute stupidity. Second, Moses didn't have a flood. That was Noah. You're getting distracted with your bias, Kent. Write a script and read from it instead of going live and making a fool of yourself. Or just do a little bit of research.
Lyell saw himself as the spiritual savior of geology, freeing the science from the old superstition of Moses.
That's not what that says, Kent. That said separation from the dispensation of Moses, meaning to take science and not try to make science fit the Bible. It's to take science separate from gospel. That way you can get the truth and see how that fits in with the Bible. And the stupid part is, if the Noah flood was a legend pertaining to a massive local flood, I would support that. To someone in that day and age, all they would see is water everywhere. A flood that massive would appear the entire world was flooded. And a flood that large would generate stories like the Noah story in the Bible. We have evidence of this too. Geological research supports a local flood in ancient Mesopotamia that is now told in both the Bible and the Epic of Gilgamesh. It's theorized that the Noah story came from the Epic of Gilgamesh story.
The layers are not different ages, guys. If the layers are different ages, where's all the new material coming from?
Under the ground. But I did call it. He doesn't understand the geological column at all. I am happy to understand it a bit better now after my research over the past few months. Now, I'm no expert, of course. However, Kent knows nothing about it. This was and will be the hardest part of the research anytime this comes up. Half the time, the websites that appear in my feed are creationist trash talking, so I've had to look more and more just to get answers to the questions about it. So where does new material come from? The simplest answer is many different places. Underground, for one, lava volcano erupts violently and covers an area and material from deep under the surface where the markers we use to date rock and such have not been established. Other times, a mud volcano pushes material up from under the surface to cover an area. Over time, that mud will dry out and get more and more compacted, leading to a new rock layer. Still other times, it's a matter of, yes, a flood with new organic material. Other times, a layer is made in the forest as trees die and mix with the soil. Then there's the supervolcano that explodes and covers the entire planet in ash, while other times it's an object from space. The Chicxulub event that caused the Cretaceous-Paleogene barrier of iridium in the column that significantly signified the extinction of the dinosaurs. Usually it's a combination of these factors that starts a new layer, but the column isn't even over the entire planet. Some layers are from different dates, while in other places the column shows only certain sections. It's taken a long time and a hell of a lot of research to put together a map of the rock layers, and Kent's hand-wave dismissal of it all is just astoundingly insane.
The Big Bang created all the matter and energy in the universe. Well, if all the matter was created at the Big Bang, then all the matter is the same age.
Called it. God damn it, Kent, we know that. Do at least a little research. The age is the age the rock layers were formed on the surface, not the literal age of the material itself. Stop being stupid, Kent. Now, I know you have had these formal debates. I know you have spoken to actual geologists and paleontologists. And I know you have been corrected on these statements. I know for a fact that you know how these layers were formed. So why do you go around and spread lies and misinformation with the intention to draw people into your young earth cult? You know for a fact, Kent, that you are a bullshitter. The only thing you have right now is your lies and your deception. Stop it. Do better, and if you want to debunk the column, try it. But yelling that it's silly over and over doesn't do anything. It is painfully hard to make these videos. I can only take so much stupidity in one sitting, and I have to write things out and listen to the videos a little at a time to keep my sanity. I'm starting to lose it. And he went on about this for 4 minutes straight, just repeating himself over and over and over. Now from here he plays a video, but again he's lying about it. He isn't taking into account at all where the experiments are coming from. What this experiment shows is that they put different size particulates into a sort of experimental river and change the flow every so often. What this did was create layers of sediment. But the conclusion of the results were where the issue is. The guy did all of this to get separate layers of sediment, and as they changed the particulates, they made new layers one on top of each other. It's basically a long river that they're trying to simulate. So what does all this tell us? Well, the moron that did it said that all the new layers were proof the geological column was a lie. That's wrong. What they did is show how the geological column was true. It was making new layers and made them at different times. The geological process as an experiment showed that as changes happen to the climate, we have water flow over an area increase or decrease that new layers would form. The funniest part of all of this is the fact that Kent didn't show the name of the YouTube channel he stole the video from. If you want to see the video I'm talking about, the channel is called Evolution Delusion. It's a Young Earth channel. They interpreted their experiment with a bias already in place and looked to confirm that bias. But Kent isn't going to tell you that. For copyright reasons, I will not show you the video, but the channel is Evolution Delusion, and they have 110 subscribers. The video is called Experiments in Stratification. They have 10 videos and haven't been active in 9 years.
The Bible says in 2 Peter, the scoffers in the last days will be willingly ignorant of that flood. 2 Peter chapter 3.
Another blatant lie. 2 Peter chapter 3 says the scoffers will come and reject the second coming of Jesus. But when was Jesus supposed to come back? You have your answer in Matthew chapter 24, verse 34. Truly I tell you, this generation will certainly not pass away until all these things have happened. This is supposed to have been the end and the second coming, yet here we are more than 2,000 years later. That generation is long gone. Okay, Angel, I know you and I have had to skip over a ton of repetitive garbage here, but let's move on to something more tangible.
That would be more effective.
Thank you, Demon. Let's move on.
The moon is holding a bump of water on the earth called the high tide with its gravity. The earth is spinning, and it's round and it spins. Flat earthers, I don't want any comments. Okay, knock it off. Okay. And that bump of water stays under the moon. So the water is constantly being sucked in from the east at the same speed the earth is turning. Well, how fast is the earth turning? That depends where you're standing. At the North Pole, 0. At the equator, 1,037.6, depending on your altitude. At Lenox, Alabama, 886 miles an hour. So the water is constantly being sucked into that tidal bulge at the speed the earth is turning. During Noah's flood, the water was moving back and forth, up, down, not just up, down with the tide, but in and out with the tide. It's the sideways movement of all that water that formed all the layers to the earth.
And there we go. Much better. And it proves that he is wrong. It takes us back to the start of the video. If the flood happened, all the stuff that was under the flood would have been sent sloshing around and pulled apart, mixed up and sedimentized all at the same time, putting every bone and rock in all the layers he thinks would have formed. But that isn't what we see, is it?
No.
Exactly. What we see is layers of material on top of the other layers, with one type of fossil in one layer and another type of fossil in another layer, and then another type in yet another layer, and never the two shall meet. We do not see everything scrambled up in the way Kent tries to claim. So Kent's hypothesis is false, and the geological column proves him wrong. This, I believe, is why young Earth creationists have such a hate boner for the column. The way it is formed proves that their flood could not have been the cause for it. The flood is phony and silly. Kent needs to get over it and move on to accept the scientific observations and apply it to his faith instead of applying his faith to the findings. There is a lot of repetitive garbage in here, and I'm just not going to be like Kent.
If there were a column of sediments, unfortunately, no such column exists. I bet he got fired for admitting that fluff, didn't he?
Kent being dishonest again. If you go back and read what is actually written, instead of lying about what is written, it says, if there was a column of sediments deposited continuously since the formation of the Earth, the entire history of the planet could be reconstructed. Unfortunately, no such column exists. Where sediments are missing, a break in the sedimentary record occurs. Breaks result in gaps in the record that may range from a few years to hundreds of millions of years. Breaks in the sedimentary record are called unconformities. So the text he is trying to point at is actually in favor of the column. Kent, stop lying to your audience, please. Now, occasionally you'll find a little bit of a gem in these videos, as if Kent has a moment of realization that he is defeated. As you watch this next clip, watch the expression on his face right after he says North Dakota, and listen to how he responds after.
This article is a detailed examination of the young Earth creationist claim that the geologic column does not exist. It is shown that the entire column exists in North Dakota. It's a really big world, okay? The chances of finding these different fossils, not the layers, they find the different fossils in a particular order, that could happen someplace. It's random shuffling all over the place.
Did you see? He realized he was wrong. Frustrated with this, he made up the excuse that the fossils somehow arranged themselves into a perfect order by random chance. Even he doesn't believe that. But they are there, and they are in that order. The same order all over the world. From there, it's a rapid-fire bullshit session where he repeats everything we've gone over like it's new material. The only thing he adds is the whole dating methods bit where we date the fossils by the rocks and the rocks by the fossils and the fossils by the rocks and the rocks by the fossils and the fossils by the rocks. No! We date common fossils and get the age of the layer they are in from those dates. That's what index fossils are. So if we find a rarer fossil in the same layer as an index fossil, rather than destroying the rare fossil to date it, we can get the date by the index fossils we find in the same layer. So we date the index fossils to get the date of the layer they are in, and then date the rare fossil by the date we assign to that layer. 3 stages of dating, not 2 and not circular. Kent's had all this explained to him too, but he keeps regurgitating the same bit over and over. I mean, there's not much more you can say, so I honestly think we're done here.
Yeah.
Anyway, I am Corsi, and this is The Fluffy Atheist. Hit those like and subscribe buttons, and remember, a little research goes a long way. Let The Fluffy Atheist do it for you.